Okay. Just trying to see who else on. Okay. I love small groups like this. I think it's a little bit, um, I don't know, you can just talk freely, when it's a small group like this. So who all actually read the 3 chapters? Everybody, I cannot see everybody. I don't know why. Let's see.
Not everyone has their video on right now.
Oh, I got you. Okay. So did everybody say they read them? Yeah, that's on here.
I'm not sure.
No. Cool. Okay. Um, that's okay. I've been on book studies before that I didn't always read all of them, but I actually did read these, and Randy read them. Sarah, you already read the 3? Yeah. Um, it's a lot of kind of hits me in the face with some of these, some of it I'm like, oh, okay, that's really good. um, I haven't led a book study. I mean, just being transparent, in a while. So, um, does anybody have any place they would even want to start with this?
So I just typically go through the chapters kind of with the
Mhm.
topic. Like we can just talk about chapter one and kind of go from there and then ask those questions. I don't know if I can't remember if he really asked many questions at the end for that one. I think it was where and how I need to change was at the end, right?
Mhm. Yep. It actually says, how willing am I to be honest with myself about how I need to change to become better at self leadership? What colleague, trusted friend, or mentor would be able and willing to point out how and where I need to change and give me advice? Will I make that appointment right now?
I think the biggest thing when it comes to leadership, I will say this because just reading a lot of this, even when John was talking about, I think it was in chapter three, he was talking a lot about how you're the climber or you're the connector, and just even from that, I was able to relate. He's like, I was the climber at the beginning, and I was like, that was totally me too. It was like all about me. Like I had no idea that this had to do with other people. It was like because I'm a control freak, and it's like I can do all the things, and then I realized when I was like at a standstill, it was like, wait a minute, I'm not going anywhere. Why can't I get this going? And it was because I wasn't focused on everybody else before. I was focused just on myself. So he kind of, I feel like it's just the first chapter is just talking about the awareness of it first, and you know, being aware that
Mhm.
it's more about focusing on, obviously your team, but your leadership too. And it's like if you're not doing the right things, um, you're not really going to grow, or people aren't going to be following you.
Mhm. I love that. I mean, I do feel like from the beginning, I always wanted to have people do this with me, not necessarily because I thought I was a great leader or anything like that, but more honestly because I was scared to do it by myself. So, I mean, I don't know if, that's probably not necessarily a great leadership thing either, but I always wanted to do it with people. I wanted to bring people with me just because I didn't know what I was doing, and I wanted to, learn and teach people as I went. But, um, yeah. What about you, Sarah?
I think I was the opposite. I was like, I got to figure this out for myself first before I can lead anybody else. And so I think I went through years of trying to build myself in leadership, kind of like what he was talking about in chapter one with all his different things he went through. And it was like, I mean, I had some leadership capabilities already. I was an entrepreneur at heart, but definitely had some challenges there as far as like feeling confident in sharing that and growing something new that I've never done before. And so I feel like the way that he shared about like I had to learn through this and I had to learn through this and through
Mhm.
this, I felt like I definitely had that those experiences the first few years. I mean, I started wanting right away, wanting leadership and wanting to grow a team, but I just wasn't there yet, I think. Um, to a point enough to get there in my mindset until I like really put in the work. But
Mhm.
I'd say also I can see it in some of my team members. It's like as soon as they have that shift of, oh, I am a leader, like I can do this, it's a huge breakthrough. Like I'm seeing that in Megan. I think she's on the call, but
Mhm.
just seeing her decide like, oh, I can lead and I don't I can't do this by myself. I think that's, I mean, I actually see the progress and the shift taking place and like just things falling into place by saying I am a leader.
Right. But also being willing to do the things that you're asking your team to do. That's, I've been doing coaching calls, and that's one thing that I keep seeing people say is, well, I mean, I want to be a leader and I don't, nobody's following me. And I think that goes right back to what you're saying is you've got to work on your leadership skills and be willing to lead yourself. I mean, that's what he talks about the whole time is the number one person you got to lead is yourself. And if you're not consistently doing that, how do we expect anyone else to follow us? Because they're going to be like, well, I mean, they can see right through that. People can see that we're not leading ourselves, if we're not consistently doing the things either that, that's just showing, because in my experience, people are going to do whatever you do. Like if I take off a week, my team takes off a week. I mean, if I take off a week, my team takes off a month, and that's just kind of how it goes. They're going to do what you do to probably an extreme. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like one thing I starred from the first chapter, kind of towards the end. He said, you have to practice patience. And I feel like that is one thing I think all of us, I mean, it's just such a hard thing, especially these days, especially with, I call it like the Amazon world, right? I feel like they've kind of ruined that for us, even with shipping anything. It's like, we want free shipping and we want it in 1 to 2 days. It's like, I remember people complaining about not just Plexus, but anything. And I'm like, where else do you get, like, this was never a thing before, and I think what helped me with when it comes to that was, and patience, what helped me with patience was actually living overseas, because I had no choice but to have patience when I'd have to wait sometimes a month for my products, or I just had to wait for a lot of things, right? So it taught me that, but I still, I think we still kind of struggle there a little bit because we want instant results, instant this, instant that. And you see some people who climb to the top within it's like, how did they get to Emerald in 7 months or 3 months or something crazy, right? And all you're seeing is you're just seeing that. But you're not seeing that, wait a minute, they still have to do, like he talks about, they still have to do the work to catch up to their leadership, right? Maybe they had that influence, from the very beginning, we're able to add a ton, but it doesn't mean they're necessarily there. And so I think the practicing patience is a huge thing.
I do too, because a lot of times you'll see people go fast start, gold, senior gold, ruby, but all the way to jewel. And they might get there really quickly, but like you're saying, it's the lifting their leadership lid. I mean, all of a sudden they have this team and they don't have the skills, to keep helping that team grow or even to keep that team. So you definitely always have to be working on, and we always have to be working on ourselves. I mean, just because you get to Joel level doesn't mean that you stop working. As a matter of fact, you have to ramp it up. I mean, to keep that team, you've got to constantly be working on self-development.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to add anything to chapter 1? Self-awareness. You can even put in the chat if it's not easy to.
Hello. I would say, I'll be quite honest, I have not read all of the book. I'm kind of going slow with it, but as I'm reading, I would say after patience, number 4, seek accountability. I feel like the good leaders know that that power can be your downfall. You have to know that you can't trust yourself. You need accountability. So I need accountability for sure.
Yes, absolutely. And again, just because you make it to dual level doesn't mean we don't have accountability. We are accountable to each other. We're accountable to our sponsors, and several of us on here. I mean, we even pay for coaches because we have to have accountability. It's so easy to sit back and not do the things that we know, even, that we need to do. So, and all your jewels this month are offering free coaching. So, I mean, sign up. Yeah. Actually, I see several of y'all on here. I think everybody's already signed up for something pretty much. So that's good. How's it going, Megan?
Oh yeah, were you gonna say something, Megan?
No, I finally got to a place where I could show my face. So hi.
Congratulations on making the leaderboard. That's
Thanks.
amazing. You and Sarah both incredible.
Yeah, it felt awesome. See my name there. I just wanted to happen again now.
Yep.
Over and over. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Someone talking? That's weird because Megan's on mute, so I don't know where that noise is coming from.
I don't know.
I think it's one of y'all is unstable.
I don't think so. I think it was when it was, I don't know. Either way. Awesome. Well, so knowing and working within your strengths. And this is one thing, I don't know. I've talked to my team about this before. I have the book, the Strength Binder book. I don't know how many of you guys have done that test before, but it got me thinking straight to that. If you struggle to find what your strengths actually are, but I do love how he says to ask other people, you know, like I feel sometimes that I don't see what's in myself like Brandy can see. So it's especially your upline can see those leadership qualities in you more than anything to say, hey, this is what you have. These are your strengths. You need to run with them. So I like how he says that, to focus more on that and not focusing on trying to get better with your weaknesses. I think, I can't remember there was another book I read recently about that too. Because my focus was always like, I'm not good enough at organizing or this or that. And so it was like, I have to focus on getting better at this first. And I was like, wait a minute. This is my personality. I am organized. It's just in my own different way. It's not like the typical type A, like checklist person, but I do have a way of organizing, right? And so I can't remember if it was a book or if maybe it was coaching with Brooke that I was doing, but there was something that it just clicked like last year. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Why am I focusing and wasting so much time here? I don't need to be focusing time here. So I do like to hear that from him as well, since obviously y'all look up to him.
I think that's so true. It actually kind of calmed me a little bit to hear him say, you don't have to focus on your weaknesses all the time, you know, like focus on what you're good at. If you don't have somebody that's told you what your strengths are, start with your upline for sure. And even sidelines. I feel like sometimes sidelines can be like brutally honest. They have nothing to gain or lose from you. So find a good sideline partner.
I'll check the book real quickly because I see you were asked who wrote it. Strength Binder.
And I'd say to make sure as you are helping other people grow in their business, whether they're, you know, sharing with one, sharing with two, you know, silver, senior silver, gold, like make sure you are speaking those strengths and gifts into them. We might think it's like irrelevant or stupid or whatever, but make sure we are building them up. And that can show you as a leader too, like, oh, she sees that in me. Like,
I feel like, you know, the jewels on my team, I can tell you just right off the top of my head what their strengths are, every single one of them. And I think that's why we all work so well together, because they work in their strengths. I mean, Randy is so good at like mapping out, getting her team, coaching them, mapping out, like helping them see what's possible when they don't even see it themselves. I mean, that is her strength right there. She has a lot of strengths, but that's really one that, I mean, obviously it serves her team very well. You know, Tina Comrade, she did not see this. And I know, you know, I'm not saying anything I wouldn't say to her, or she knows, you know, she did not have confidence to begin with. And she was always so worried about, you know, missing something or, just not being a good leader. And y'all, her strength is details. Oh my goodness. I did not realize that about her. And once I realized that, like, she has just come out of it. She's just like flourished into this amazing leader because she is able to keep up with all those details that just go literally right over my head. So, I mean, I don't know, and it's been cool to watch her grow in confidence with that, because I think she saw it as a weakness, but it's a huge strength, a huge strength.
I'm wondering, at the end, it asks some questions, and I don't know if you guys know your strengths, but I would love to either hear it or have you guys type in what your top 3 strengths are when it comes to leadership. And if you don't know, obviously, I'd love to talk to you, or like I said, go to your upline. I don't necessarily know, I'm not your upline, so I may not know, but go to your upline if you guys don't have a clue, because I think that is extremely important to focus on. And I did that, actually, the strength finder, what Brandy just mentioned, one of my strengths in here was strategic, which that's what she pretty much said what I am. It said I'm strategic. I think I'm futuristic, which I think is also something that's been good for me, because I'm good at vision casting for people. I can see things before they even happen. I'm like, nope, this is gonna happen for you. Like, I can just see it. And I'm good at encouraging, I feel like, and telling people to keep going, or just, I think because I can see all of that and those numbers and whatnot, and just kind of, even when it comes to your, just seeing the qualities in you, saying, you're ready. All right, you can get out of the nest now. So I'd love to see, what you guys like, if you guys want to unmute, if you guys have any idea, even if it's just one strength, I'd love to hear them.
Mm-hmm.
I typed mine in the chat, but I said relationships come pretty natural to me. Creative, which sometimes it's my downfall, because I'm like, let's do this, let's do this. And Randy's like, too many ideas. Let's focus on one. And then I think I'm strategic also, and then definitely encouraging others.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
Yes. Very encouraging and level-headed. Very level-headed.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna pipe in and just say probably detailed, encourager. Not really sure the third, but relational.
Mm-hmm. I see those two for sure. Jill, what about you?
Typing.
Oh,
I don't think she can unmute right now.
okay. How about you, Marianne?
I would say detailed, creative, definitely can build connections,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff.
Those are awesome.
Relationship building, obviously, as he's talking about this whole time, is like key, being able to connect with others. So that's a good one.
Definitely. Probably number one in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest things, because when you're one of those people and you're like going through all the steps and you're like, I'm doing all the things, like, why is nothing happening? And it's like, have you taken time to slow down and actually connect with people, like relationship build? Like, that's huge. And I don't think people realize it sometimes, because you're doing everything on the checklist, right?
Mm-hmm.
I found myself there sometimes too, especially when I ran out of people, like ran out of the ones that I already had the connections with. And I'm like, how do I find more connections?
Right. Right. I just had a conversation with somebody this morning on a call, and that's kind of what we were talking about. And I just told her, I said, you don't, because I had a business coach tell me this one time. We had a bunco group here in our neighborhood, and we had just moved here, and I just felt all this stress to like go join that group and recruit every single person in our bunco group. But it just stressed me to no end. And she's like, why do you have to recruit them? I was like, because that's what I'm supposed to do. And she's like, if you don't want to, you don't have to. Just go make friends. And it was just like just a ton of bricks was lifted off my shoulders, because I didn't have to go recruit all those people. I just could go make like genuine friends with them, which is what I did. And now half of them are my team, because they just came to me because I just made genuine friends with them. So I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to recruit every single person we come in contact with, instead of just putting that relationship, first and foremost.
Absolutely. I think it is hard, especially when people are like, find business builders. And you're like, okay, I have to have all the conversations with all the people, but it's not all the people that you need to have the conversations with. It's certain people, right? Certain ones where you're like, they already post really well on social media. Like I can see that they have lots of friends. I'm super attracted to them, what they post. Like I love everything about this person. It's like, go tell them that, right? Like that's how you
Yeah.
find those people. But it's not like every single person, because they're not necessarily all meant to be on this journey with you. So it's just really listening and watching, right? Listening to the people and hearing what their pain points are and what's going on, whether it's they're needing an extra income, or maybe they're really needing these products, and just being that friend, like Brandy said. If you are the one to step up and have those conversations. So
Exactly.
Jill did say
Okay.
her strengths are encouragement, letting go of things I don't need to hold on to, not being overly bothered by what I don't need to be. Strength I'm finding is how to make all the things work in a full schedule. I love that. And I love that you found Jill. Jill found Jill to help out with that.
Yes, Jill Halleck or Jill, yeah, Halligan. I'm getting you guys. Yeah, she's so good at that. So good. I love it. And I love that you're seeking out help. You're not just, you found somebody you connected with and you're seeking them out. I mean, that's a strength right there, to be able to admit that and get help.
Absolutely. Megan said supportive and caring. I love what you said, I guess. Megan, you are supportive and caring. And then Sarah added, she's very consistent, relational, and willing to grow and learn. And I do love that. I think that's huge, like to be coachable and willing to learn and grow. I will say I was not that way as much at the beginning, and Brandon can probably say that too. It's okay.
That's okay. But I mean, honestly, though, Randy, I mean, I think that's what has made you such a strong leader now, is because you figured that out. I mean, you figured that out, and then you completely changed and are completely coachable even now. I mean, you're so willing to learn and so willing to teach other people what you do learn along the way. So I don't see that as bad.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So chapter 3 is that's the one I was saying I really loved and really related to, because I was a lot like him at the beginning too. It says, put your team ahead of your own career advancement. And I was kind of that type of person where I was checking the boxes and just like, okay, I reached out to my 5, follow up my 3, training 1. Like I was literally just doing all the things like that. And I remember after I got in a place where I got hit gold really, really fast, but then I was there for like 8 months and I was like, Brady, what do I do? I'm doing all the things. I can't figure it out. I don't know what I'm not doing right. And honestly, that's literally what it was. It was that I was not focusing on my team. I was focusing on me. And so I think that's where a lot of people, and why a lot of people sometimes get stuck at gold or senior gold. So I had people on my team adding, but we weren't necessarily keeping the people, and I wasn't helping my team get to their next place. It was like, well, I'm here. How do I get to senior gold next? It wasn't me thinking, who do I need to help? So that way it does happen that way. So that was a huge shift for me personally. And he mentioned how people who are already kind of strong leaders in the beginning, that type of personality are like that, and how you have to make that shift. So I'm sure, I mean, I know I'm not the same as everybody on this call, so that's just my little tidbit that I took away from that.
I love that. Okay, at the end of that chapter, oh wait, we're on chapter 2.
Oh, sorry, I just moved on to chapter 3 because we were just talking about.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to ask the question that was in at the end real quick. It basically just says, where am I strongest? Where are my top 3 strengths? We already did that. Okay. Where am I weakest? Who on my team can I help using my strengths? And who can I ask to help me where I'm weakest? Which we kind of already covered all that. We didn't really say where am I weakest? Does anybody want to share that? Kind of hard being vulnerable with that one, but
I'll do it. Following up and confidence with customer care. Yeah. Not being afraid to say the wrong thing. Because I feel like I would be in a different spot now if I don't know. I could go on and on about weaknesses. That's where I need to change my mindset and not focus on the weaknesses.
Right.
And play on my strengths.
Absolutely. Yes. Because you can't.
Elizabeth,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm the same way. I have to literally talk my mind through follow-up and customer service. It's so strange. Like I feel like I know the products really well. I can help people like really feel good on the products, but there's like some little thing in my head. It's like, okay, you got to follow up. Like, don't put this off. I don't know. It's the strangest thing, but I literally have to talk myself through, like, make sure you're following up with your people.
Right.
So you're not alone.
I think sometimes it's like a deep down fear
Yes.
of how they're going to
Mhm.
respond to you, and not that you can't handle it or help them, but it's like this fear of, oh, what are they going to say back? Because sometimes when it's quiet, you're like, well, they're quiet, they must be happy,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
obviously not the truth, but
No, for sure. And sometimes it's probably a fear of, oh, if I follow up with them, they'll remember and then they'll turn their order off, or,
Yeah.
but and we have to follow up. Like that is the only way to build a sustainable business and that's the only way to keep people. Like Genevieve always says is brush the teeth you want to keep. Like that just sticks with me so much, because if you don't brush your teeth, you're not going to keep them. If you don't follow up with your customers and your business builders, like if you're not making contact with them, I mean, at a minimum once a week, but like daily, really. I mean, if people are working, they want to hear from you, because somebody told me when I first started this that like silence from a leader can be like detrimental. I mean, you can kind of do damage that you really can't repair. People just feel ignored. If they don't feel seen and heard, you're going to lose them super quick, especially somebody sharing. Like if they could be suffering silently, maybe somebody made a comment on their post and all of a sudden they just lost complete belief and you haven't contacted them in 2 weeks, they're done, especially if they just started. So I don't know. Most of the time when you follow up with people, I mean, rarely have I ever had anyone say, I hate these products, I hate this business, I'm quitting. Like that just doesn't happen. But in our head, we think that's what's going to happen. Most of the time, they're super grateful, for you. Even if they don't respond, they're going to be grateful that you at least reached out.
I think it's just like ignoring the noise, because there's so many products out there and there's so many opportunities. And if you can just ignore that and have that true belief that like we have products that work that are incredible, it doesn't mean that there's not anything else out there, but ignore the noise. We have products and we have an opportunity that's incredible as well. And what I will say is, even if there's other great opportunities, what is it that makes us stand out? It's our community, you guys. Like, I mean, I think we have one of the best communities within Plexus. Like our team is incredible, like incredibly supportive and loving and kind, serves each other, like serves one another. But that's where I have to keep my mind and just ignore everything else. Cause you always see these things like, oh, not that I'm tempted by that, but you'll see people all the time like, I made this much in this time, this much in this time, and you can't look those other ways to say, okay, well, what are they doing, or maybe that business is better than this business. It has nothing to do with that, right? But as we've seen with other people who have left and come back and have realized too, right? So
yeah, it's rarely about the product.
Yeah,
I mean, definitely about relationships.
In what ways, so the questions for the end of this one, he says, in what ways am I putting myself and my career ahead of the people on my team? So that's thinking that one I didn't answer because I actually struggled with that. I mean, I'm sure I am, but I didn't answer the question yet. I feel like I need to think about that. Did anyone answer that question yet?
Anybody want to share what you put?
Reread it again.
Yeah, it's in what ways am I putting myself and my career ahead of the people on my team?
Well, and I definitely, going through last month, I definitely can relate to this a little bit because you have to a little bit. But I do feel like we were able to make sure that helping everyone else with their goals but it still feels really strange when you're going for a big goal and you do have a team sharing. It's like, let's do this. Let's, you feel it's hard to kind of make that shift. Like, this is not all about me, but then in some ways it feels, especially just for Emerald, it just feels like you almost have to a little bit.
Mhm.
But still, I mean, I love my team. I want nothing more than to see them in the same place. But in order for them to do that, you have to do that. And you kind of have to lead the way, but not make it all about yourself. So, it's a little bit of a challenge. I'd say Emerald, at least. The rest of the way, it's like I almost felt like a level playing field with my team. Like,
Mhm.
I'm going for this goal and you're going for this goal, and we're going to work together to get to our goals. So I don't know that I've made it all about myself, but Emerald did feel a little
Yeah, I
funky.
think I can relate to that. I think Brandy's about to say something, but I was just going to say I can relate to that. Obviously, even with going Sapphire, and Brandy probably can too with even going Diamond. I feel like with those bigger numbers, those bigger pushes, like you start realizing, like when it's like you said, when you're going for Ruby or Senior Ruby, you can usually easily kind of just sail into it if you're helping your team, right? Like I think for Ruby, I hit it on like the 21st of the month. Like it wasn't even the end of the month. It was like just sailing on through. And then, I mean, I think that's what's cool though about the Jolt levels, to show that like you need your team to come together to even make that happen, right? Like you have to already have those relationships with them because they want it for you and they want it for the team. Like it's huge to be a part of an Emerald team or a Sapphire or Diamond team. So
Right. But you also have to think about, you have shown them what's possible. You have shown them, you're leading the way for, like, you've done it now. I've just got chill bumps, like chill bumps all over, because you did it. And now these people on your team, they see, okay, wow, I've been with Sarah for a while and she's done this now. So that means I can do it too, you know? And honestly, that, I don't know, I never really thought about it like that. Even with Diamond, because I don't know. I actually had so many people going, wow, you did this, so I can do it too. Like, I know there are going to be other diamonds on our team. Like, I just have no doubt. Like, um, yeah, but I mean, you're showing people that what's possible. So I don't think it can feel a little selfish, during that time. But look at all the rank ups on your team. I mean, it was
I was
incredible.
gonna say,
You did
we,
not do
yeah.
that just selfishly. I mean, no way. They worked for you because they wanted to.
Well,
So,
and I would say too, like we each had so much personal growth helping her do that. I mean, like there are things I believe in myself now that I would not have had we not done July. You know, I mean, truly. So it was for me as much as it was for her in the end. You know.
absolutely. I mean, wow. I mean, wow, Megan. How many did you add? 20? 18?
No, that was Sarah. 16. But I almost doubled my points from June.
Right.
That was the huge thing. I
Incredible.
was like, whoa.
Incredible. Honestly.
Yeah.
And
now
just
she's
now
what? Don't you have like 2 or 3 people sharing now too on your team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that's a first. That's a first. And it was a wake-up call for me too in my work. Like I just realized like I don't want to do this on my own anymore. Like number one, I can't, but but I don't want to. Like I don't want to. So I want to be pouring into people the way you all have poured into me. And I think I finally found that confidence that I'm capable of that. So
exactly.
yeah.
See, Sarah, if you hadn't been going for this huge goal, she would not have realized that about herself. Right.
There we go.
So
Yeah, and several, Christy she said she doubled her paycheck. I know Megan probably doubled her paycheck. I think probably the same thing for Paige. She's not on this call, but yeah, so it was just an incredible month.
incredible.
It's
And
a
that's
journey.
where going back to that customer service that Elizabeth was talking about and following up, that's going to be absolutely huge.
Yeah.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't added anyone yet this month because I'm still just following
Oh.
up like crazy. Like every week I'm like, okay, I gotta
Same.
reach my customers again.
Yeah. But that's, I mean, that's important. So
Yeah.
it's okay.
It's good.
Sure. I think Randy already talked about this, about being the connector, you know, how he talks about being the climbers versus connectors. I don't know. I mean, that's what y'all are just talking about, is learning to be the connectors and making it about your team and helping other people instead of just climbing yourself. So while climbing yourself, I guess.
Yeah, he said you had to have that like balance, because you obviously still need to climb, but you got to have a little bit of balance of having both instead of fully focused on one or the other.
Mhm.
Yeah. Does anyone else have anything to add about it?
Hello. Yes.
I was gonna say mute.
Sorry, I thought it was important, but it wasn't. Crazy. It's the police association.
Were there any other questions from the end of chapter 3?
In the book, that was all. It was the one I asked, and then it said, what action can I take to better serve my people and put them ahead of my personal agenda? So I think it's kind of answering that first question in order to answer the second one. I feel like with where I'm at, I don't necessarily put myself in my career first these days. I will say I do try to protect my energy and time, probably. And so that's probably one thing that I feel like I could, and that's when I don't manage my time well, because I do homeschool my kids. You know, like I've got a really ridiculously busy schedule constantly. And so if I'm not managing my time well, it's like I'm trying to protect that time, right? And that's where I could do a little bit better. But
Well, I think it's important to protect your energy and time, you know, and be
yeah,
able.
but I probably have more time than I think because I'm not managing my time well. So that's probably what I would answer as far as what action could I take, is be better with my time management sometimes.
Same. Yeah, I am learning to actually do a daily schedule and stick to it a lot more.
Yeah.
My daughter's home today. I didn't know she was going to be home today, but I just told her, I said, I have calls, I have things I have going on today. I'm sorry, I didn't know you're going to be here. So it's like Christina Williams says, she's like, make your schedule and stick to it, you know? And that has been for me something I'm learning to do. You know, you can't make it to Diamond without doing that, but it would be a lot easier if you make a schedule and stick to it. I think it'll be a lot easier mentally. It is mentally for me. I'm like, oh, because I feel like I'm not letting myself down. You know, a lot of years I felt like I let myself down every single day.
My
It's just like,
struggle is my schedule changes every like quarter because of the school
Mhm.
schedule and summer schedule. And it's like I can't figure it out. And then I have different like dance, and you know, I'm just in that weird busy season of life with the kiddos, that it's just, and I think some of us on here are as well in that weird season too, where it's like you figure it out finally, and then you're like, oh no, like a month later, it's changing again.
yeah.
Well, and one of the things that popped into my mind, I haven't been to Gold School, but I've seen the curriculum and stuff that they teach, and I've been to Rubies on the Rise, and that's like one of the biggest thing. And they, even with the jewels, that's the biggest thing that they teach. Like if you can create and do a winning day, whatever that looks like for you, like we have got to just figure that out and make it work. Like, because I feel like I know personally for myself, I'm spending way too much time and not getting things done. And we talked earlier, or in the book, it talks about where is your focus? Like if your focus is on how can I get this done in this amount of time, we can do it, but we're just not focusing on that.
Mhm.
So to me, I really want to help myself first, but then also help my team. Like, what is your area of time that you have available? I have a lot of full-time people like Megan and Debbie and Monica and Christy, you know, a lot of people have full-time jobs and families. And if we can just manage our time better, and just have that, like, my business coach right now, she wants you to find like your number one output and what that is. And the 3 steps that help you get, actually 5 steps that help you get to that number one output. So like maybe my number one output, I'm actually trying to figure it out, because my number one output for the last 3 months with her was to help my team go Emerald. But that meant, you know, Ruby and the other golds, helping them grow. And that was part of my number one output. So now I need to redo my number one output. So what is our number one output, and how can we do that with our time, managing our time better?
And I think that's part of being a leader. I think part of that is helping our team, even though we might not be in their same circumstances, just like Jill's doing. Like the reason why Jill Halligan is helping her is because she's like, I don't relate to the other people on my team. Like they don't have this particular job. I don't know when to fit the stuff in. And so sometimes it might be finding that person outside of our team to help them too, to figure it out. But we need to be able to maybe even point them in the direction and say, hey, you know, this person should be able to help you. Jill found her on her own, of course, thankfully, but it's sometimes it's just helping our people figure it out. Like, okay, because my schedule is going to look different from probably every single one of y'all's schedules. Like, it's like you may work full time, but I'm full time, you know, homeschooling my children and running them in between back and forth to music lessons, dance, gymnastics, whatever. And so I have to fit it in the same kind of way that someone who works full time into the nooks and crannies of my day. But it's going to look a lot different where I'm fitting it in versus where you're fitting it in, right? So I think it's helping them. And if you can't help them, find someone who can help them in that way.
Yes.
But you guys have to come to us too to let us know, like, hey, like I think Angela just said, I need help, you know, I need to manage my time better. So it's like, okay, get on a call with your leader and let us help you figure out how to manage your time better. And if we can't help you figure out that schedule, then we connect you with who can.
Right. For sure.
Just real quick, I know we probably should let this, I know it's going a little long, but I just want to read what Jill said. She said, last spring, I started treating Plexus like other job. In my day job, I don't miss a meeting unless it's completely unavoidable. When there's a crisis, everything else gets adjusted, but it's okay to say, sorry, I have a conflict if it isn't a crisis. And if I do that for my day job, I can do that for Plexus as well. I love that.
I love that. I mean, you got to treat it like the job that you want. Maybe not necessarily the job that you have, but yeah. Yeah, if you treat it like a hobby, you're just gonna get hobby money, right?
Yep.
For sure. Does anybody else have anything they want to add or something they thought was, stood out?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm with Jill. Like when I started shifting to using every last second that I have for this, like things started changing for me. My lunch breaks now are not just sitting down watching something, because I don't watch TV at home. I never get access to the television, but I'm not watching something, catching up on a TV show. I'm listening to a podcast. I'm messaging. I'm doing all those things. And that seriously has changed everything. So I'm grateful for that, seeing that in you all. So
That's awesome, Megan.
All right, ladies. Well, I'm so glad we were able to get this going. And I thought this was a great chat today. We will be reading chapter 4 through 6 the next week. So we'll just do, because I think there's 12 total chapters. So we're going to try to knock it out within the 4 weeks. I think there might be Labor Day in between there. So we may be skipping that week, or maybe go into Tuesday, Brandy. I don't know. We'll have to figure that one out.
Oh yeah, we'll probably have to go to Tuesday.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all can, but if not, of course, you can always watch the recording. So we'll do chapters 4 through 6 next week. Catch up if you haven't read chapters 1 through 3 for yourself, for your own benefit, and hopefully this was helpful. I would also say go back to the questions and answer them. Like I know I need to go back and just really reflect. It just takes a little bit more time sometimes to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw there's a podcast that he did, because when I was searching for like just the questions written out, so I didn't have to
Oh.
go back and find them.
That would be good.
Yeah, I think I saw there as a podcast, so I'll look for that and see if I can find that.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, guys.
All right.
Good seeing everybody. Thanks for hopping on.
Bye, guys.
See y'all. All right. Bye.